Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on when you're watching this edition or indeed listening to the podcast version of this edition of Hypnosis Week Live. I've got another amazing guest for you who I will introduce in a moment. Some of you may recognize him already. He'll be on one side of me, depending on which way Skype decide to do it this time. As always, you will find below this video or the audio podcast links to this gentleman's website and his social media platforms so that you can look into the various courses, shows, and other wonderful services that he offers through his various websites and social media platforms. For the record, it's the 23rd of June 2020 as we record this. I state that because the recent interviews I've had, at some point we end up inevitably mentioning coronavirus and COVID-19. So if you're watching this in weeks, months, or years to come, when hopefully things have got back to normal, it will at least make sense to you why we're mentioning those things, because it was recorded on the 23rd of June 2020. So I'd like to introduce you to a gentleman who does over 300 comedy stage hypnosis shows a year. He also does hypnotherapy. He also teaches people the full spectrum, really. He's going to tell you more about all that. Please welcome to the show all the way from the US of A, Mr. Rich Guzzi. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
We finally got connected. We had problems, but we sorted them. Look, Rich, for those people who've not yet had the pleasure of seeing you perform or haven't gone on YouTube and seen videos or looked at your website, obviously we're going to share what you're up to and what you've done over the course of the next hour. But there was a time when you weren't a hypnotist. Or more correctly, because I want to point this out, Rich's website, and this is a clear definition, he says he's a comedian who uses and does hypnosis, not a hypnotist who does comedy. But before we get into that, what was your path to getting into the hypnosis?
It's actually, I was a comedian for about 15 years, as a regular straight stand-up before I ever did the hypnosis show.
All right, cool.
And I kind of accidentally fell into doing hypnosis because of, I guess, it's just a weird occurrence. I walked into one of my comedy clubs I was working that week, and the club manager said, "Did you hear Otto and George on the Howard Stern show that morning?" And Otto and George is like he was a dirty puppet act, real nasty puppet.
Yeah.
And he was going off and going crazy. And I guess the owner of Rascals, which was the club I was working, got really mad because he heard it. And she's telling me the story. She says, "Oh, that's it. I have to fire Otto and George. He's never worked the club ever again." In fact, the manager, Joe Miller's with him. And you got to fire all Joe Miller's acts. I had to fire everybody. Even had to fire poor Denny Moore, the hypnotist. So I got to find another hypnotist. And I don't even know why I said it, because I was just goofing around. I said, "Well, I can do the hypnotizing show for you." She goes, "You can do the hypnotizing show?" I said, "Yeah. I do this psychic guy, and the psychic thing's the same thing as the hypnosis." Remember that guy, John Edwards, the psychic guy?
Yeah.
I used to do a bit in my act about doing these dopey psychic readings. And people used to love that part of the show. So I said, "Yeah, the psychic stuff's the same thing as the hypnotizing. I could do that, no problem." I was just goofing around. But she took it serious. She takes me in the back. She says, "All right, here's the week." And it was like 3 times the money I would normally make. Because hypnotists got paid more money than comedians. So I said, "Yeah, I'll take the week." I remember driving home that night and said, "Well, better learn how to do the hypnotizing show." And I took a hypnotizing class. And I was driving home. I'm saying, I'm in major trouble here. Because this is all nonsense. It's not going to work. I'm going to look like a fool. So I'm doing all the stuff that they taught me in the class, the arms going up and down, and the hand locking. I'm practicing all this stuff on my regular fans after my regular comedy shows for the next couple of weeks. I had 6 weeks to prepare by the way.
All right, okay.
That's a crazy short amount of time.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks. So I'm putting it all together. I said, you know what? I got to do a practice show to see if it all works. But it's got to be in a place where if it goes bad, nobody's going to know about it. So, like, never work in Muskegon, Michigan ever again, that type of place, all right? So I get some guy to book the show in, and it fills up because the guy sold like $5 tickets, and the place had 300 people there. I did the stuff like the guy taught me, and it worked. And I'm like, man, this hypnotizing stuff is real. I couldn't believe it. I remember I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. I had to go to St. Louis the next day. I couldn't fall asleep. I actually drove to St. Louis that night after the show because I was all wired up. I did another practice show in like Altoona, Pennsylvania, this other little town, and then Rascals comes up, the big venue. Now, to tell you how big this club was, all the big time comedians played there, It was like, Dice and Sam Kinison, Rodney Dangerfield. Every big comedian had played this club. So this was a big deal. If you screw this up, it's bad.
Yeah.
So I go there the first night, Wednesday night, and who shows up? Denny Moore, the hypnotist, and his manager. And I'm like, oh man, they're gonna scrutinize now. I don't know what I'm doing. And it was actually, I'm thinking back in retrospect, it's a smart move because they figure I'm gonna go belly up. They're gonna save the day, get their gig back. It makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm still a great comedian. I'm gonna do 15 minutes of my best material up front, get the crowd on my side. I'm gonna bring a whole bunch of people on stage to be hypnotized. However many I end up with, that's gonna be the show. All right, that's the plan. Good. I go up, I do great material. Everybody's laughing. I'm just having a good time. I bring like 20 people on stage. I got them sitting in the corners. They're all over the place. I end up with 4 killer subjects.
Okay.
Show goes off without a hitch. My confidence grew. Those guys left in the middle of the show. The guy, he's got it. They left. I remember I did 7 shows that week, and she gives me a check for $3,000. I remember, and this is like, 25 years ago. I'd never made $3,000 before. And I said, this is amazing. Right? I remember driving home like, oh, I was on top of the world. I mean, this is great. I cashed that check on Monday, and then I never thought I was going to keep doing the show. I just figured, let me just get out of this. But then, people started calling up. Hey, I heard you could do the hypnotizing show, right? You're working this week, and all of a sudden, weeks started filling in. I booked in like 6 months worth of work doing the hypnotizing show, and I started taking less and less comedy gigs. The numbers started escalating. Next thing you know, I am 25 years later, still doing the hypnotizing show.
Right.
And then the progression happened. From there, I saw how powerful it was to the people in the audience watching.
Mm-hmm.
Because I made the show very inspirational. And all of a sudden, I started noticing how people's lives were changing because of it. And all the times I said, I'm just not going to do this anymore because I want to do regular comedy, the universe kept pulling me forward to keep on helping these people. And it just grew and grew. And then here it is now. My show is almost strictly inspirational shows now at this point. So it was a really interesting path to get me here, but I'm really glad I took it. And now I'm showing the new guys that I'm teaching now coming through the ranks. You got to paint hypnosis in a good light. It's important every night to do a good showing where people see that this is a very valuable tool to make your life better, not just a last resort. And that's what it's really all about. And if we could do that, then hypnosis is really going to be on the map in a big way.
I've got to ask you, let's get it out. Well, I say get it out of the way. It's not because I want to dismiss it and I'm not treating it in any flippant manner. Of course I'm not. Right. It's just, let's hit it head on. I know that in the States, people have started very recently to start doing shows again, some people.
Yep,
Here in England, we can't for one key reason, that the venues aren't open yet. The government's not allowed them to reopen yet.
Right.
But I know that there are places where people have started, a few people, and I see that you've got 26th, 27th, this Friday or Saturday, you've got an event I see advertised as well. What differences are happening out there in terms of, your venues, some of them are open and shows are starting to take place, but obviously there's still social distancing. CDC still say that the 2 meter rule applies and all that. What changes have you had to make to things?
Right. Well, the new shows are going to have to be, done in a way where, yes, you keep everybody separated. So some of the bits are going to have to change. Some of the material is going to have to change. So what I did was I'm one of those guys who tapes all the chairs together.
Mm-hmm.
Like them when they're not moving around because usually they're very active. So what I'm doing is I'm actually turning chairs reversed so it keeps everybody separated.
Ah, okay, yeah. So you like to have a seated chair, and in realism, I would guess 2 chairs the other way. Correct. To give the distance before facing this. Okay, yeah.
So I'm usually ending up with about 6 people now. Because I did some shows recently where that's exactly how I did it, and everybody's separated now. And now this is going to separate the men from the boys. All right, you have to be skilled as a hypnotist now, because you're only starting with 6 people, and your game you have to be on your game now. Before, a lot of hypnotists say it's a numbers game. You bring a whole bunch of people up, however many ends up hypnotized, that's going to be your show. And that worked for a long time. But now that's not going to be the case anymore. You're going to be on your game, and you got to make sure the people who come up, those people are getting hypnotized. Otherwise, you're going to end up with no people.
Yeah.
So that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is you have to structure all the material now where they're interacting with each other, but from a distance. So no more like where they're all dancing in the ballerinas and they're ballet dancing together or they're dancing together. All that stuff has to go away now.
Yeah.
So you restructure the bits. Now, luckily, my show, the first 20 minutes is all rapid fire bits, one after another, with the acting out in place on the chairs.
Oh, well, thank God for that. That's a good starting point. Yeah.
So I already know how to do this. And I've toyed with the idea many times of doing the entire show that way because it's extremely powerful and it really hits the crowd hard. But what I've noticed is that the audience can't keep up the pace of laughing when you do it that way. They burn out. So about
you've got to have peaks and troughs, just like with stand-up comedy. Yeah, give them recovery.
Yep, it's just like comedy. Again, I can tell how professional you are for being able to notice that. Because a lot of guys, are just going to pour the coal and keep on forging forward. But you're going to wear the audience out, you're going to wear the subjects out, and it's not going to work anymore. So I'm going to do 20 minutes up front of that where they're not touching each other at all. They're all facing forward. And then from there, I will structure all the bits from that point forward where they're interacting with each other, but from a distance. So it could be like, the usual stuff, where you guys love this thing, you guys hate this thing. And then all of a sudden they start interacting with each other, but they can interact from the 6 feet away. But the key component is making sure that you have great hypnotic subjects on stage. And it all boils down to you being a great hypnotist now.
What are you going to do in regards to the way? Obviously, certain things are open to interpretation. There isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer. There's only a right or wrong answer if governments or the lawmaking departments categorically state something has to be done a certain way. But best practice health and safety wise, they're talking about, like shops. If somebody brings something back to a shop, they've got to keep it in the back for a couple of days or something before they put it back out on sale type thing, because apparently it could be carrying it and you've got to give it time to die. So the argument is that could happen with props. So, I mean, I know that one or two people I've been advising over here that are hoping venues will open soon. I've been saying, look, either don't use props, which is horrible because visually it does help things, or use single-use disposable items.
Yes.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think props are useful because they make it a bit more visual for the audience.
Absolutely. So now a long time ago, I remember the guy who originally told me how to do comedy, like almost 40 years ago. This guy Joey Cola. The guy was amazing because he was so powerful as a comic and used nothing but the microphone, the stool, the microphone cord, and his face to make all these amazing things happen. So I was taught on how you can make things super funny without even saying words, just like by using your face and the way. So I was never using a user of props in a huge way. I would use some things, yes, but you actually hit the nail on the head. You could use a one-off item and then you just throw it away. It could be like fruits, it could be vegetables and stuff like, like bananas or, whatever. And they get tossed when it's over with. Or you write your bits, you write the material structured where the props are really unnecessary. And it can be done. You look at it like the sketch TV shows are a really great example. You can have material that is very audio powered, where they're interacting with each other. So like, I have some specific bits that I do just for the radio, so people can't see it at all now. I have a whole show that's just for the radio, and those bits are now actually perfect for this type of situation.
Yeah.
Plus, they're all audio friendly bits, but they're super funny. So you have to just write more stuff like that. And again, it all comes down to the hypnotist putting the effort in to make that happen. But yes, I mean, if you have to use a prop, again, go to Walmart. Or I don't know if you guys have Walmart, But you go to
Well, Walmart bought out a department store we have in England called Asda's, so
yeah.
it's
So
called Asda's there, yeah.
I remember one time I had to write a brand new show that weekend because I'd been to this town a lot, and everybody who bought tickets has seen the show more. I said, I got to write a new show today. I walking through the aisles of Walmart, just finding stuff on the shelves and picking things up and writing a show that night about it. So yes, I mean, that really hits the nail on the head. Buy props that you can just get rid of, eliminate, or write your material, sketch driven, where it's almost like it's perfect for the radio.
How important do you think, in the context of, I'm going to term it as slowly easing out of the COVID mania and fear that's been instilled into the public through the dramatic headlines and stuff? How much more important do you think the pre-talk is now? Because I won't know this for sure until the British government say, hey, venues are open, you can go and do a show. All my work got cancelled like everyone else's. But the moment that does happen, I strongly suspect, with the way I see people reacting in supermarkets and stuff, that it's going to become exponentially harder to get them to volunteer in the first place.
Yeah. And again, you hit a very valid point, nailing right on the head. I feel that the pre-talk is the most important part of the show to begin with. Too many stage hypnotists I see go on the stage and they're doing like a hypnosis lecture, and there's almost nothing funny about it, and it does a huge disservice to the industry. You got to remember, you're coming to see a comedy show. It's a comedy hypnosis show.
Yeah.
It's not comedy hypnosis. It's not a comedy hypnosis demonstration. Demonstration is a totally different ball game. If you're doing a comedy hypnosis show, that pre-talk should be stand-up comedy material written about hypnosis. So, and as a comedian purist, comedy material means 8 laughs a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not getting 8 laughs a minute, then it's not really comedy material at this point. And now you're giving a funny lecture, an entertaining lecture at best. And then some people I've seen, it's not even that. It's just they're given this boring thing about all the quit smoking, lose weight. And yes, you should put that stuff in there, but you got to do it in a funny, entertaining way. So you dispel the myths. You can't just, all right. So if you tell them that, yeah, you gave the information professional. I've been doing this for days. All right. And all of a sudden you already get that nervous laughter going on. So let's say I was to hypnotize you and I just leave the room. You're not going to get stuck, 10, 15 days tops. You come out of it automatically by yourself. You're going to fall in a nice sleep. So I'm already making fun of their fear of getting stuck in hypnosis, which is a giant elephant in the room. So
how much would you address the COVID thing at the moment? Would you actually hit it straight on and go, look, as you can see, I mean, they're going to be able to see visually, but would you verbalise it? Look, you're going to be socially distanced on stage. The law says I have to. So for your safety, we're doing everything by the book type of thing. Would you hit it head on?
Yeah, and that's actually a perfect way to sell it. I sell it. We got your safety in mind here. In fact, we don't have to worry about touching anybody else or anything. Everything's been sanitized perfectly and stuff like that. And I'll make jokes about the sanitization process. You can make jokes about listen, trust me, you guys have hooked up with a lot of worse people in your life.
Yeah.
So you want to do it in jest, but get the information out there. All right. And like I said, the shows I did a couple of weeks ago, people charged to the stage like they normally do. They wanted to do it.
Excellent.
And as long as you show them that you have everybody's back and you got the safety in mind, and listen, and they can see right away the way the chairs are manipulated. They already know you got to figure it out, and they're like, "Oh, this makes total sense." Just by the mere sight of the stage, the way it's set up.
Yeah.
The wheels are spinning for them. It's like when I teach hypnotists how to hypnotize people, I said the easiest way to do it is let them hypnotize themselves. Let them read between the lines and fill in the cracks themselves, and your job is already done for you. So this job here is also done when they see the chair set up a certain way. They're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this actually, I was wondering how he's going to do it. This makes total sense. And they know that the situation is covered.
Yeah,
But
excellent.
their mind's going to fill in the cracks. I always tell people, what's scarier, a car bomb going off or the threat of a car bomb? The threat is way scarier, because if a car bomb went off, you're like, oh man, better get out of here. Let's roll. And we roll. But a threat is like, well, how big is the bomb? Whose car is it in? It's going to blow. Is it a nuclear bomb? We're all going to die. Your mind will always make it bigger than it is.
Yeah.
So if you let them fill in the cracks, they'll answer their own questions and say, this guy's got it totally covered. I'm good. And then all of a sudden I start talking. He says, I'm right. Yeah, he's right. It is safe. We can do this. And they will make the decision. They'll make the decision before you even do it.
Do you wear a mask?
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
I know some people do. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer on that.
Yeah.
The
way I'm looking at it, so we can't get those N95 masks, which are the really good ones. So we can't get those. And the other one with the cloth, they're not talking about this, but early on they were saying how those cloth ones, the virus can go right through there anyway.
Well, the CDC back in March clearly stated you're better off not using one of them, because if anything, it cuts down your oxygen, and it's like stopping a pea through a chain link fence.
Exactly. I get it. So me personally, I don't wear it, and
I was just thinking from the psychological point of view, maybe of it visually acting as a suggestion of safety to audience members.
Yeah, I actually look at it the opposite way. Like, I'm so unconcerned about the safety here that I'm not even wearing a mask. Because I know that this is a very remote situation. We got everything covered here. We got everything sanitized. Everybody's been checked on the way in. Everybody's temperature's been taken. Everybody's all good. Nobody's contagious. We're taking every precaution possible. In fact, I'm not wearing. If I don't have to wear a mask, you guys should feel safe too.
Yeah. I mean, that makes total sense. I just have to bring it up because I know there's at least one, maybe two people that I'm aware of in America who've done shows recently, and they've masked up from what I can see.
Yeah,
I see that as possibly a negative suggestion.
Like I brought my own microphone. I did that. So that was one precaution I took, but I didn't wear the mask. And I kept everybody distant and far apart. And I just let the chips fall as they may. I did my part to keep everybody apart. Like I said, I'm the only one who touched the microphone. I'm the only one who handled it, and I let everybody just act out their stuff.
Microphones, that's a good point. I know you mentioned it. I mean, I was talking to someone else earlier today about this, and I said, bloody hell, they better have, it's always important to have it in your contract that the sound equipment's got to be good, but it's more important than ever now, given that we're supposed to socially distance the 2 meters. We can't really, technically, I know we could, but if we want to be really keeping to the letter of things, we can't really be sticking the microphone into the face to ask for their responses. We need to have that distance, so the PAs need to be up, don't they? So the mics are more sensitive for the audience to hear the reactions if we're doing things like the world's greatest liars routine or whatever.
Right, I know. It's because what's going to happen is if you put the microphone on and they spit into the microphone, you go to the next guy, and it's almost the same exact thing as having them on top of each other.
Yeah, well, exactly. Cross contamination could. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you have to make it where that bit is unnecessary. You have to fill in the cracks for them.
So it's very much visual reactions are more important, I would say.
Yep. Exactly. So like I said, I do like a 20-minute story up front, then I go right into the smell bit, good and bad smells, because everything's facial reactions at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So that can go on for like another 10 minutes. You're a half hour deep at that point. At that point, I only need 4 sketches to fill up the rest of the hour. Yeah. I have my pre-talk is super funny. That's 15 minutes up front. So I do the good energy affirmation, and then some housekeeping at the end. That's an hour and a half show.
Excellent. So
it's funny like 90% of the amount of time on stage.
How are you handling back of the room sales in the current climate?
I'm not doing it.
Oh, okay.
What I'm doing now is I'm capturing everybody's email and text and zapping them all the stuff virtually.
Okay, so then you can get it off your website, download or have it. Yeah.
So and I've been working on this system for a long time. So now again, it's, out of, necessity comes all the great ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working on this for a long time about trying to capture everybody's information all in one crack. So I made a bit. You make a bit that involves them zapping you the information right there.
Right.
Kind of, so that way you're capturing everybody's info. You send me a text right now.
Kind of like a lot of the mentalist mind readers have started doing bits in their shows where, towards the end of the show or in the second half, we're going to do a mass audience mind reading experiment. So I'd like you to go to @RoyalHypnotist and tweet me the name of a vegetable or whatever, and use the hashtag, and a hashtag that you know specifically for that show, so that then they can find everyone that posted up and communicate with them.
Exactly. It's exactly how you do it. And now you capture everybody's information all in one crack, and then you butter them up at the end, with the sales pitch. I'm going to make your life better. Buy it right there on the phone, and you give them an incentive to get it right there on the phone. Right now, I'm going to give you $10 off right now in the next half hour.
So direct, as it's called, direct response marketing. They've got to take response there and then directly, because there's a benefit to them. Yeah.
Yep. You got to give them the right now. Give them the benefit right now. The scarcity and time bonus. And you frame it out for them right there. And then the great thing about that is now you have all that data, and you can nurture those people going forward now. I'm a fan-based comedian. I don't, in other words, I don't get paid to do the gig. I'm almost the exact opposite of everybody else. So in other words, a lot of people doing like high school graduation shows, the college venues, the fairs. I don't do any of those gigs at all.
Okay.
And I know that sounds weird. And I've managed to do 300 shows a year for 30 years in a row, doing shows as a fan-based comedian. So in other words, the more fans come see my show, the more money I make. And that way, there's no...
You're doing box office.
Yes.
Stuff, yeah?
Right. So that way, there's no competition. There's literally hypnotists in my audience every single night. And they'll call up my venues. Hey, I don't know what he's getting paid, but I'll do it for half the amount. And a lot of the owners are friends of mine. They call me up and say, you know this guy? I said, yeah, he was at my show last night. He goes, yeah, he called me up, said he'd do the show for free. I'm like, really? And they're like scavengers. It's unbelievable. But the venues will never do that because they know that they make money with me. And
exactly.
and that's what it's all about. I always tell people this business is such an easy business to be successful in. All right. There's thousands. I know in the U.S. there's 65,000 venues that shows can happen in. Mm-hmm. Not just comedy clubs, but all types of different venues that you can play. If you just had 25, you did them twice a year, that's your entire year. All right, there's really no competition when you look at it that way. If and you could do it very simply. You go out and you start getting your little roster of venues, and after a year or two, they're already filled in. Now, all of a sudden, now you have 25, you got 35, then you got 50. Then all of a sudden, now you start looking like, you know what? This one wasn't all that good last year. Let's bump this one off, and you don't do that one anymore. And after doing it many years, you're only doing the best gigs now at this point. And now you start to sandwich them in closer and closer together, and your schedule keeps getting better and better. And nobody can ever take your gig. And you're not competing for anybody else. You're not making phone calls. You're not going on Gig Masters trying to get gigs. All the stuff just happens on autopilot. Like my phone just rings or my email just lights up. Hey, you want to do this gig this day? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Or when I'm getting paid to do the gig, the guy says, when do you want to do it again? Let's call it 6 months. I already got the calendar out. I put it in the book, and we're good to go. I have my gigs that I do that are scheduled in for the year, a year in advance.
Excellent.
So I do the same weeks every year in the same venues. So and that's really the best way. If you become a fan-based comedian, it really is. It makes you bulletproof. It gets you to the point where you have no competition. You don't have to worry about where your next meal ticket's coming from, and you're going to make more money doing it that way because you're basically your own boss. It's really the smart way to do it. And I've been doing it like that my entire career.
Excellent. And the thing is, it's actually easier now to go down that route than it used to be, because back 25 years ago. I've been doing hypno shows 30 years here in England, so I know the climate, albeit I know it in England because you're in the States, but back then we didn't have the wonderful thing of the internet and social media platforms to build up followers and fans that the newbies have now got. There's major advantages.
So much better. And this is all part of it. People don't realize that, when you talk to people after the show, they write their email address in a book, or now using the new system where you capture everybody's information all in one crack. You nurture those fans. Every month you should be at least every month send them something. Hey, you're not gonna believe what happened last night at the show. Oh, this guy almost puked on stage. It was hilarious. You got to see this video. And all of a sudden you see the guy. He's on, and now the fans look at, oh man, look, that guy's almost thrown up. This is amazing, right? And they become like your friends. And now you send them an email or a text next time you're in that town. They say, oh, here's that guy I was telling you about. And they bring all their friends down, and the room gets packed. And that's really the key to your success, by nurturing those fans and staying in touch with them and sending them little doodads of content. Not always trying to sell them something. Just keep giving them good stuff. Show them what you're doing.
So they actually look forward to getting an email from you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they almost, like, your fans have become almost like part of your life. Like, I'll go into a place that I'm playing, and people ask me about my pets. They ask me about my girlfriend. They know all my pets' names, my cats, my dogs. They know all of that stuff. It's incredible.
It's incredible, but it's borderline a little bit kind of stalkerish, the whole social media.
It's crazy what happens. I was doing a venue in way upstate New York, a little tiny town, and I'm walking my dog, and here comes this girl driving her pickup truck. She rolls the window down. Rich Guzzi, how you doing? Right? And I'm like, I would never play this town ever. She goes, hey, Jasper. She knew my dog's name. I'm like, look at this. She knew me, and she knew my dog's name, and she's welling out to me, hey, Jasper. I couldn't believe it.
That's the price of fame. It's great because, as you say, it makes it easier to get bums on seats. But yeah, it's a bit disconcerting sometimes because people think they know you.
Yeah, they do. They know a lot about you. They want a little piece of your life, and that's why I always tell people: you go on stage, you don't realize the not the power, but the responsibility that comes with you being on that stage, especially as a hypnotist, because every night you paint hypnosis in a great light. All right, on the stage, people go out and they talk. They're like, man, you're not the people I saw last night. What happened? Joe, yeah, Joe from the plate. Yeah, he got hypnotized. He was sniffing this other guy. It was unbelievable. And they tell a story, all right? And then all of a sudden you do this good energy affirmation stuff at the end of the show, and everybody has this feel-good moment at the end of the show. Mm-hmm. And they see the power of hypnosis and what it can do, all right? And you get these emails and these texts from these fans that say, you're not going to believe what happened, right? My husband came back from the war. He hadn't slept in bed for like 3 months, for 3 years, all right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I don't know what you did to him on the stage, but now he was like a changed man on the way home. All of a sudden, he slept in bed with me tonight, first time in 3 years. My kids got their dad back.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is powerful stuff. And we as stage hypnotists, there's a huge responsibility. And yes, people know you, and it's almost like stalkerish, but they look at you as this larger than life person. And if you don't dress properly, and you don't speak properly, you don't give them a good show, they leave with a bad taste in their mouth, and hypnosis loses its value. So I tell people, when you go on stage, you should be dressed twice as good as everybody else, at least 2 levels above the audience. So if you're doing a fine establishment, you should be in a suit. If everybody's wearing suits, you should be in a tuxedo. If it's black tie, you better be in like a James Bond tuxedo. All right? So you always have to dress at least 1 or 2 levels above what the crowd's going to be, because they're looking at you like a celebrity. And it's so important. It's a huge responsibility.
So going slightly off on one, because obviously you were doing straight stand-up before the hypnosis, but I mean, this applies to hypnosis as well, with the skits or sketches, routines, call them what you will. What do you make of all this political correctness? It's just getting, even in recent times right now, it's getting, during the coronavirus stuff we've had, riots, we've had the whole Black Lives Matter stuff, and I'm not being flippant about any of these things. They're all very serious things. But personally, I think it just got ridiculous. If something's funny, it's funny. But too many people, there's too many things that apparently were not supposed to be ageist, sexist, racist, anythingist. We're not supposed to be doing hardly any material if you believe the do-gooders. I mean, what do you make of all that?
Yeah, and again, I know in our country it's very galvanized right now. Yeah, and everybody's digging in. It's like a tug of war, and they're digging in. However, people are people, and they want to really, for the most part, be good people. There's some bad eggs out there. I get it, but in the end, people want to be good, and you want to find the good in people. And I'm not saying you should go out and you have carte blanche to do whatever you want and talk whatever you want because, hey, it's the art. And if you don't like the art, don't listen to me. All right. That's taking it too far. Has the sensibilities of the world and the country changed? Absolutely. I noticed that a long time ago. I used to do a racy show. I don't do that show anymore. The country doesn't want to see it anymore. All right. And my hair is all gray now and I'm older. Dirty material gets dirtier as you get older. So,
yeah, perceptive. Right? Yeah.
So my show is all inspirational now because I'm an inspirational guy, and I'm for the underdog. I understand why people are rioting and it's bad. A lot of bad stuff's happening. That doesn't make it right to riot and loot people. That's bad too. All right, but what we need to do is show them, hey, let me show you a way how things can be really awesome. All right, I know you're upset on this side. You're upset on this side. But if we all come together and work together on this thing, I guarantee you I can show you a way how everything can be really super awesome right now. Give me a shot. Let me show you this. And I can put my show together, and I can have people on the left, people on the right, people in the middle. And they're like, wow, he's right. This is pretty good stuff here. And you can, and it can happen. My fans are on both sides. It doesn't make a difference, and all are welcome. I'm for the underdog. I was an underdog my entire life, and the stuff they teach you in school, like math, science, English, history and stuff like that. I get it. You have to have those subjects, but if you gave people real education and showed them how to be successful, the stuff they don't teach in school is those intangibles. All right, and I want to show people the intangibles, and I show people the intangibles on my show. I'm like, I got very lucky. I was an underdog who just somehow figured it all out, made a lot of mistakes, but I got it all figured out and became super successful. But you guys, most of you guys are better than me. I barely made it through high school. You guys are a lot smarter than me. If I did it, if a dummy like me could do it, I know you guys can make this happen. Here's the plan. Let me show you the plan how to make this happen. And that's what the show is all about. I do little doodads in the show, like little nuances that show people how that can happen. So I'll give you an example. They're on a roller coaster. They're super scared. And they're going down and they're fearful and they're out of their mind scared on this thing. All of a sudden, at the end, you'll see a couple of people who are just really shaking. A lot of times there's a big guy. He's like, oh man, that was terrifying, right? But I really put him through the paces. I'll actually put my hand on his shoulder and say, you were so brave to go on that ride. Remember, every time you conquer a fear in your life, become stronger in every other area of your life. Today you conquered a huge fear, became stronger and stronger. Your life becomes better and better. It's a good job. Deep asleep. Deep asleep. All right? Then I showed the audience, if I could do this with this man who was just terrified, we could easily do that, make your life better in every aspect. So I turned a super funny bit, scariness, put into a self-help. Let's make your life better.
Motivational. Yeah.
Excellent. And they don't even know they're getting it. Some people recognize. They come up there after the show. They say, dude, you know what? I really like what you do with that stuff. You know what? A lot of people didn't read between the lines, but I did. I saw exactly what you were doing. And so people do catch it. But even if they don't, it sinks in and they see what's going on. And they realize this is a valuable tool. You can make your life super good. And again, when you have fans, this job becomes a lot easier. I have it easier now because I've been doing this for a long time. I got a lot of fans, and the people come to see my show now. So and they're bringing their friends to come see the show. Oh, you're gonna see this guy. This guy's awesome. They bring their friends down. So when you're a little bit more famous, you have a little bit more latitude. All right. So you get away with a little more. You can talk about a little more stuff. You know, topics that people maybe normally wouldn't want to hear about.
Yeah.
Hey, we're here to have fun. Stop with the motivational stuff. Just make me laugh. Make me laugh, clown boy. You know. But that's the advantage of having a show where your fans are coming to see you. That's why I said it's super valuable to start now building up that fan base. Because then all this political correctness stuff, you're going to notice, melts away and goes away because your fans are there to hear what you have to say. And it melts away and makes your job a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean that makes total sense, because although there's all this political correctness, it doesn't stop people like British comedian, he's known in America as well to some degree, Eddie Izzard. He's completely outspoken, and many would say some of his material's unacceptable, but that's their choice. But he still goes out, he does it, and he's got a massive fan base. I remember in America, in England, we had a comedian, he's no longer alive, called Bernard Manning. And lots of people would say he was racist, sexist and all this. But the fact is, he said, well, I take the piss out of black people, Chinese, English, French, and the list went on and on. He said, by the time I've done my stage show, there isn't a race, colour, creed, age, size, every other label you could think of that I haven't taken the piss out of at some point. So how can I be discriminating when I'm taking the piss out of everyone, including myself?
Right. Exactly. I get it. You know, it's, you know, if you can pull it off, you know, certain comics can pull it off and they can make it happen. Because they have a valid point. They're making valid points about social issues. And that's the golden ticket. When you can make valid points about social issues and get people thinking, that's where the real power comes. You know, I see a lot of political comics pulling it off and doing a great job with it. You know, we have to make smart choices. You know, and these people could be the leaders, because a lot of our leaders, like I said, they're polarized on both sides now. They're dug in, and they hate each other, and that doesn't help us as the people.
No, definitely not.
It doesn't, because, you know, in the end, we all have to come together. Because if somebody gets sick, all right, you go to the hospital, you don't ask the guy, hey, you on the right or the left? He's just a guy he's just the guy helping you, man. Right? You're gonna refuse help because the guy's on the wrong side, and he's not gonna turn you down because you're on the wrong side. You know, exactly. So that's where our leaders need to do now. Our leaders need to galvanize everybody back together. Stop the fighting, you know, and you know, it makes no sense to me. You know, I think we should all just band together, and we're stronger together than apart.
Well, undoubtedly, I could not agree more. So, we kind of talk stage hypnosis. Well, we have taught stage hypnosis, but yeah, you do also do. Well, you're kind of doing a bit of therapy within your stage hypnosis show from what you've just explained. But I mean, as a standalone, I know if people want, they can go to the links below this video or audio podcast, and you do have self-help products, and you do have training courses that are therapy related as well, that people can see at your website link. And fingers crossed, I know that coming up in August, I say fingers crossed, but assumedly Hypno Thoughts will go ahead. I know you're speaking there.
Speaking there, yes.
So I mean, what's your favourite approach hypnotherapy wise? Because there's, you know, by that I mean some people go on, I very much prefer the Ericksonian approach. Some people go, I prefer the Alman approach. Some are direct, some are permissive. What's your sort of favourite approach?
I actually have my own approach.
Oh, excellent.
And I use a sales approach.
Okay.
So I sell you what you want to be sold.
Okay.
So let me explain.
Please do, yeah.
So let's say you want to quit smoking.
Uh-huh.
All right. If a person comes and wants to quit smoking, and the normal hypnosis scripts, oh, you're going to live longer, you're going to notice it's so much healthier now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you're really selling is self-preservation.
Yeah.
If the guy is not self-preservation, he's not going to quit smoking now. Of course, there's
Mhm.
4 types of people. There's self-preservation, money, romance, and recognition. Those are the only 4 things we buy. There's one that's predominantly you. If the guy is not self-preservation, which is only 25% of the public, because there's 25% of each one, then that's not going to be effective for you. That's not effective therapy. So if the guy was money, I would sell him the fact that the cigarette companies are duping you, and every year you're spending thousands of dollars on cigarettes, compounded over a 5-year period, which your money doubles every 5 years. After 10 years of smoking, even at a pack a day, you've burnt up with interest $250,000. That's a lot of money. When you think about it, look at the things you could do with that money.
Mm.
I'm selling him what he wants to be sold. If I'm selling him romance, you know how much more romantically attractive you're going to be when you quit smoking? Your skin's going to look younger, clean breath, right? Your skin's going to have beautiful color again. Lady, it's going to take 10, 20 years off your the way you look.
Mm-hmm.
Recognition, right? You know how many millions of people try to quit smoking every year, but they fail? You're going to be able to say, I quit like that. I did it 1, 2, 3. All you other guys couldn't do it. I did it, no problem.
Nice.
I sell them what they want to be sold, and a direct approach.
So how do you decide what it is they want to be sold?
It's very easy. I do it through process of elimination. So I can ask you a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
In seconds, I can tell you which of the fatal 4 you are: self-preservation, money, romance, recognition. So what I do is I start eliminating certain categories right away.
Uh-huh.
All right. And then then you narrow it down. Then you say, yeah, you know what? I think recognition. And I test it. I'll say something that'll poke their recognition. And all of a sudden they go like this. Get that, and that's confirmation. Yep, their recognition. I sell them that.
Right.
So, and you get once you get good at it, you do it. There's a very specific process I use to do it. I could literally sometimes do it without even talking to the person. Like I'll give you an example. You see a girl and she's at the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
She's finely dressed. All right. She's got a really fancy, expensive handbag. All right. I'm looking at her. She's finely dressed, hair well done, fancy handbag. All right. So I start using process of elimination. All right. Self-preservation, money, romance, recognition. I can look at where she's holding the bag and determine. She's finely dressed, so she cares about what she looks like. But if she's guarding the bag, that would be self-preservation, where if she was displaying the bag, it will be recognition. So I can make an evaluation with the data she's giving me and sometimes decide which of the fatal 4 she is just by not even saying words, just by looking at her actions.
This is interesting. I've got to ask you, because I know some of my viewers and listeners will also be magicians or mentalists involved in those fields as well. And what you've just described, which frankly I think is genius, relates very closely to some techniques in cold reading.
Yes.
Giving psychic readings.
Cold readers are doing this stuff naturally. They don't understand how the mechanics work. I've dissected the mechanics. I actually teach a whole course just on this, on how to do this.
Excellent.
Most people who have this skill, power, don't even know they're doing it. They're just doing it kind of naturally. They don't even know how they're doing it. It's like the guy who go walk into a bar and pick up women. He's not even a good-looking guy, but for some reason he always gets the girl. He's doing this technique, but doesn't even know he's doing it. What I'm doing is I'm dissecting why it works. So yes, the cold readers are doing exactly this.
So, anyone out there cold reading wise, you might not necessarily be into hypnotherapy big style, but it could still be worth you checking out Rich's website links below and checking out when he is doing his courses and whatnot, because there are definitely parallels, as we've just said there, of things that can be useful in those arenas as well.
Yep. I show people how this thing it's so like deadly effective. And once you get good at this, you can literally do it in seconds. Like I said, I would know I could walk into a place and sometimes just look at the person and tell you which one they are by just a mere sight, by dissecting the data. And I gave you the example of the bag, but there's millions of different ways you can do it. You can ask them one question about what the weather is outside. The way they answer the question, you can decipher which of the fatal four they are.
Oh, okay.
It could be just one simple question like that, and they can answer it. Oh, the weather. It's always that way, right? And you can now you've already narrowed it down. He's not money. He's not romance, right? It's between recognition or self-preservation at that point already. And he tells you, you ask him one more question, and he tips his hand and tells you what it is.
Nice.
So within seconds, you already have him. Then you give him confirmation. So the guy's recognition, all right? You've decided he's recognition. You say something like, yeah, I know you can endure the bad weather. These other guys, these guys are weak. They can't do it. You could do it, no problem. Us men like this, we know how to do it. The guy's like, yeah.
Then you know it's recognition.
I know he's recognition. So what am I going to sell him? Recognition. Right? So now you're going to sell him a hypnosis session? All right? Hypnosis. Really? What's that all about? Let me tell you something. With hypnosis, it turns on the power. You can walk into the room and light up any room. Everybody's going to want to do business with you. That's how powerful this stuff is. Oh, really? Now he's interested.
Yeah. Excellent.
If I tell that guy he could quit smoking, he could lose weight, what do I care?
Yeah. It rings bells in my head as well with sort of underlying principles of Maxwell Maltz, cybernetics, and then there's the science of selling with psychocybernetics, which is about discovering their emotional, which is their trigger. And it sounds very not the same, but on a similar kind of.
Very similar. You're hitting the special trigger points, and everybody wants a certain something.
Have you got any online materials on your course about people can get?
Yeah, actually, my Hypnosis World website has more stuff than Rich Guzzi actually now.
Okay, well, we'll both links below this, because that's something I can see the power of that straight away, and the uses. I think that's something that viewers and listeners would find immensely useful.
The biggest thing I tell people now is the it factor. The it factor is actually the key ingredient. If you want success, like real success, your it factor is your key ingredient. And that's the same thing, like when the guy who can just like walk into the room and lights the room up, and he's kind of doing it. He's doing it naturally. He doesn't even know he has it. But it factor is the key ingredient that makes people successful. Because you actually need 4 things to be successful. You need skills, and hopefully a more marketable skill, a more indispensable skill than the next guy.
Yeah.
You need marketing capability, outsourcing, and leadership. So because you can't do everything well, you have to have other people do stuff for you. And then it factor. It factor is the secret intangible. It's the secret ingredient that can make a guy with limited skills become super successful, but it can make a guy with real skills become a superstar. So I hear people complain all the time. Oh man, I'm better than him. I'm a way better hypnotist than that guy. I'm a better magician. I could juggle and magician stuff at the same time. I'm way better. Yeah, but you know what? He's got more it factor than you. You need to learn the it factor. You add your skills with his it factor, you'll be 1,000 times better than him. And the fans will come in droves. But right now, he's beating you on it factor. And that's the key ingredient. If you look at anybody who's super successful, these big-time entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, right? The it factor is that key ingredient. And what it is that magnetism. You walk into a room, you light the room up. And it's being able to communicate properly. It's having confidence. charisma, being able to dress properly, look the part, and being like a celebrity all day, every day. And if you can put those things together, if you could have the it factor, it's going to make your career move on to the next level. Every one of these stage hypnotists who think you're better than the next guy, you probably are. You probably do have amazing skills. Develop the it factor. You get that, and now you have the magic. And, charisma is really charm plus power. Charm plus power equals charisma. Like a bum could be very charming. Right? A homeless guy can walk up, he's shucking and jiving, he's, hey, man, right? And he's trying to sell you. But he looks like a bum, so he's got no power, which means he doesn't have animal magnetism. He's got no charisma. So the secret ingredient is charm plus power equals charisma. But then the real golden ticket is being able to talk to somebody else and communicate from a position of power without making the other person feel diminished. So you become interested, not interesting. And now you're like a politician. You have the power like a rock star, like a movie star. You ever notice they could talk to somebody and they make you feel amazing, even though they're higher than you. They don't diminish you and make you feel crappy. And that's where real power and charisma really comes into play. And you'll be the leader in the room. And if you manage that, like I said, you put this all together, you have the it factor, and you will soar past your competition.
And for the record, Rich definitely does have a course on this on his website, because I saw it earlier on. So if you go looking at the Hypnotic World website, it's on there, as I recall.
Yes.
Well, bloody hell, would you believe it? We're 57 minutes have gone by. So we're going to have to start winding this up. Thank you so much for your time, sir. I know that I have picked up a lot of things along the way, not least of which is the correlation between cold reading and the emotional point. That's something I want to look into more. Everyone, there are links below this video, or the audio version, where you can't see our faces, but you might be listening on iTunes. But there will still be links there to Rich's websites, also to his social media platforms, YouTube, and all those other things. So please do go subscribe to his YouTube channel, like him, follow him, do all those things that the social media requires, so you can keep up to date on what he's doing and check out his stuff even more. Thank you so much, Mr. Rich Guzzi. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
It's it's been a pleasure talking to you. I knew this was going to be awesome. And then when I first started talking to you, and the knowledge you had was very vast. I can tell you've been doing this for a long time as well. Your skill level is on par with the greats.
Well, thank you very much indeed. That's largely down to standing on the shoulder of giants and having good teachers over the years, and listening and learning from them, including from my dad, of course. He wasn't a hypnotist, but I was born on the circus, so, family and all that, as it is teaching you. Such is show business. I hope things get back to normal. I hope they do for us everywhere in the world, folks.
It's gonna come back. Everything is gonna come back. Once this is all going to blow away, it might not be right away. Probably going to be the beginning of next year before we're back in the groove. But I feel we're coming. I know we're coming back. And Chipotle Mexican Grill proves that. I remember when everybody was getting sick of Chipotle many years ago, and the stock price crashed. Oh, they might as well just go out of business. Nobody's going to ever eat Chipotle ever again. Well, you know what? People came back. The stock's at $1,000 a share again, and it's blowing up. Everybody's eating a Chipotle. So people will forget about the disease. People are going to come back. We want to go out and be social. We really do. Humans are social. We want to go out and do things. And it's all coming back, folks. Trust me when I tell you, we're going to be back. And we're going to be
stronger. You heard it here first.
But we have to band together. No more. Don't pick sides. We're all part of the human race. It's not B2B, not B2C. It's human to human. All right? And we all need to band together. And that's how we win.
Exactly. Because it doesn't matter what colour, race, creed, religion, political leaning, or any other thing you are, we all breathe, and excuse the crudity, but we all piss and shit the same way. We all bleed the same way. and we all have emotional needs that are the same. It's okay to disagree, despite what some people want you to think, to cause division and them against us and all that nonsense. It's okay to disagree on things. Thank you, Rich. In a most appropriate manner, that ends things on an inspirational note, which, given the nature of the show that Rich does, that is very apt. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, viewers and listeners. Please share this around as well to spread the love. And we'll see you on another show soon. Take care, Rich.
Bye-bye.